Hope you're doing well. Welcome to Cooped Up Live, should I say, my daily-ish podcast where I just talk about whatever I want to talk about while we are waiting on folks to join. CoopedUp.com is my website. You can check that out at any time. I'm Cooped Up is my handle in all the social places. Would love a follow, particularly if you're on the Instagrams. And wherever you watch or listen to this, it airs on live on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and then also rebroadcast in audio format on all of the major podcasting platforms. So click the bell, subscribe button, whatever they call it, so that you do not miss a second of the fun. And please comment. Hey, Mama, how you doing today? Hope you're doing well. My morning and night actually were pretty shitty, but it got better. It got better as the day went on, and things worked themselves out. I'll tell you all about it. So basically, have you heard the phrase killing a fly with a flamethrower? Basically meaning like going way overboard and killing something, punishing something, whatever it is. Well, that was my morning this morning, and unfortunately I was the fly and someone's attorney had the flamethrower. So I was wrong. I actually did something wrong. It happens occasionally. I did something that caused me to default on a contract, and it came to light, and I wasn't hiding it or anything. I didn't even realize I did it, honestly. I did it over a year ago, so let's keep that in mind, and there's been no consequence whatsoever. Everything has been going just fine and dandy. But in a review of some things, it came up, and it was determined that I did something in violation of a contract. And the other people's attorneys this morning were just livid about it, lighting into me, lighting into my attorney, lighting into other people. And it was terrible, mainly because I admitted to doing it. I did it in good faith, not realizing that I was doing it. I did it for good reason. I mean, I shouldn't have done it, but I did it it wasn't like anything bad. I'm not going to get into the specifics of it. But it was basically at the advice of somebody, and I thought that sounds like really good advice. And it was someone who was on this call, by the way. That sounds like great advice. Yeah, let's do that. And that caused a flip to switch in a contract that I'm part of. So anyway, but their attorney and the other people were on the phone with this, and this was all on Zoom, by the way. So we were all seeing each other's faces for the most part, except for this attorney that was lighting into me. And she just would not let up. She was like, "You're in violation," and blah, 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 just going in real hard. And I'm like, we already decided beforehand that I was going to come in very conciliatory, very apologetic, very like, I didn't realize it. I know that what is it? Ignorance or whatever. It's not an excuse. I was not going to present any excuses. I was not going to be defensive. I was going to be like, "Yep, I did it. Let's fix it." Or let's fix it, meaning we need to rewrite that part of the contract because it's already happened, the thing I did. And here's the kicker. No one wants me to change back what I did. So they all think it's a good idea what I did also, even though it's technically in violation of putting me in default on this contract. So anyway, but their attorney just went, and I was just getting more and more. And at one point, it crossed my mind. I was like, should I just bring out the tears? Do I need to just cry on this Zoom call? Like, will that help the situation? And I didn't go there. And it wasn't, if this were new enough or actually even like meaningful enough, honestly, it wasn't even that big of a thing, but just something you got to deal with. Adulting. So, but I will tell you, I slept for shit last night. I was up like every 10 minutes. I woke up at about 4:30, and then I woke up, and then I laid there with my eyes closed, and I woke up again at like 4:45, and I lay there with my eyes closed, and then just tossed and turned. And I'm surprised Todd got any sleep last night either, because I was just worried about this meeting. And for some reason, I didn't go to my go-to trick. I was so nervous about the meeting this morning. It was at 10, by the way, that I almost got up and worked out, by the way, at like 5:45 this morning. I was like, fuck it. I didn't end up doing it. I ended up walking after I dropped the kids off at school. But Uh, anyway, but I normally my go-to is to ask the Google in the room to play water sounds, and for some reason it is impossible for me to think when I'm hearing these water sounds. It's a great trick, by the way, if you can't sleep, is to either on your phone or on like your smart device or whatever, or if you have a sleep machine, tell it. So you're working out. Monica, I meant just generally exercise. I'm not like pumping iron. Look at that. Look at those muscles right there. We'll be nice and tan after our trip to Mexico this weekend. And that's the other thing. I'm like, I've got such a fucking busy week because we're going to Mexico on Saturday. And just one more thing. Anyway, I got over it. I vented. I called a friend and was like, or texted with a friend rather, and was just telling them about it, which I'm sure was probably in violation of something too, but whatever. And but I will be glad to get out of town. Oh, and then I called the attorney back, our attorney back, immediately after we hung up on the Zoom, and he was like, "You handled that great. It's fine." They were being way too aggressive. Like this is, and the remedy to this thing is there literally is no remedy. It's just we just need to fix that line in the contract, and it's not a big deal. We'll just rewrite it. We've already got language for that. So anyway, Monica, I'll tell you about it later. Anyway, so we're flying to Mexico on Saturday, as I mentioned just a moment ago. We're going Saturday through Thursday down to. We're flying into Cancun. We're going to a resort called the Fives in Playa del Carmen, and it's our last May break with the kids, or with both of them. Claire will have it next year. Mason will not. He'll have a traditional school schedule next year. But we're flying Southwest Airlines because the vacation was like over $1,000 cheaper because of Southwest just was cheaper in this case. It's not usually. I talked about this the other day. But now I'm like, how the fuck does Southwest Airlines work? I have flown them before, like not too long ago. Yeah, Monica's saying, so you violated a contract and you're now leaving the country. What the fuck did you do? Do you need an alibi? Bring a shovel. Yeah, I'll meet you in Stephenville on Saturday, a week from Saturday. So I've spent a part of the day trying to figure out how Southwest Airlines works because I've flown them before, but I've just only flown them from like Dallas to Houston or Dallas to San Antonio or Dallas to Austin, like that, right? I think one time, maybe a million years ago, I flew them to Spartanburg, South Carolina and had to change planes in Houston. But that was so long ago. We're just an American Airlines family. But the price was right and it made sense and all of that kind of stuff. So, and by the way, I like American Airlines, like their culture. I think they do great PR. I think they have great personality. I interned there in college in their PR department. I wrote a story for their in-flight magazine back in 1993, I guess it was. And it was a part of my portfolio forever. And then what else? I just think they're a great company. I just don't like flying them because I don't like Love Field Airport. I don't like, I find the no assigned seats things really weird. And if you're not exactly on it at 24 hours before, you don't get a good seat spot. And then you just have to worry that you're going to have a terrible seat. If I'm going to have a terrible seat, I want to know about it in advance. I want to know, like, I don't want a middle seat, but I at least would like to know well in advance if that is the only thing available to me. And I'm talking like when I get the ticket. So that's the thing. But so here's my thing. So we are flying Dallas to Houston, Houston to Cancun. How does it work when you do a connecting flight with their ticketing system? So 24 hours in advance of the Houston flight, I can check in for that Houston flight. And I've already got timers set up, all of that to log in so that I get like an A or a B boarding group. I already have been told that I'm probably not going to get an A boarding group because of you can buy a specific type of ticket and you pay more for it, but it guarantees that you're in the A group or something like that. Times 4 people, that was very expensive. So decided not to do that. It was literally like $400 extra because I think it was like $200 each way or something like that for all 4 of us, all combined, and didn't want to do that. So But so when I check in at 11 on Friday morning for my 11 o'clock on Saturday, I'm giving away a bunch of information here, by the way, flight. So I will get a boarding number, a cattle call number for, do they put it in my ear? Just click it in my ear when I get there. So I'll get my cattle call number at 11 on Friday morning for the Dallas to Houston flight, right? That makes sense to me. I understand that part. But what happens with the Houston to Cancun part? So do I have to then check in again 2 hours later for that flight? Or am I automatically given a boarding number for that flight? In which case, is my boarding number, is it more preferable because I've technically checked in more than 24 hours in advance? Because if I check in at 11 on Friday for the Houston flight, and it automatically checks me in for the Cancun flight, but the Cancun flight is not until like 3 hours later, like, does that give me an unfair advantage? Or not unfair, an advantage? I don't care about fairness at this point. Does it give me an advantage to have done that? Like, am I going to get a better boarding group because I was able to check in earlier than normal for that Cancun? Because that, honestly, the Cancun part is the only one I care about. If we all get middle seats to Houston, I can handle that because that's like a slingshot. That is, I don't even think you're in the air for 40 minutes to get to Houston on Southwest Airlines. It's like an hour-long flight, but I think 20 to 25 minutes of it is taxiing. And then we have a layover. So I'm curious about that. I do plan to check a bag, and because I can't go a week without my products. It takes a lot of liquids, not solids, liquids, to make this happen. Some days more than others, because that is just this kind of liquid too. But so I'm checking a bag, and I assume the bag will check through, right? So here's the other thing. I know on American, when we fly internationally, we always usually fly direct internationally, wherever we're going, or we may bounce in like Charlotte or something. I can't remember where they check your passports also, right? All of that. So that's where I'm just like, how do I do it? So I'm Googling it. I'm not finding my answers. So if y'all flown from Dallas to Cancun or Puerto Vallarta or anywhere international that Southwest Airlines flies, because I think they fly to Mexico and in some spots in the Caribbean, let a bitch know what the process is, because that's what I need to know. Because I don't want to get stuck on that. The one to Cancun from Houston is like 2 hours, I believe. And I don't want to be in a middle seat on that one. Anyway, the other thing is, I don't even know where to park at left field. I know they've got a new garage. And they have Garage A, which is the one really close in, where that's where you park, like if you just have a day trip and you're just going somewhere and back. And that's honestly the bulk of my Southwest trips have been like flying to San Antonio for a meeting and back, or flying to Houston for a meeting and back. But Terminal B is, I think, the longer term one. It's like a million miles away, but you just take a bunch of people movers. But there's a new Terminal C, and I'm curious, do people know about that one? I don't know. And you can't prepay to park. Like at DFW Airport, if you pay in advance, the fee drops from like $28 today to like $7 a day. At left field, I looked it up. You can't prepay, and it's like $18 a day to park. So, not happy about that part. Still cheaper than taking an Alto or an Uber, and also just like that my stuff is right there, especially if there's delays and such. So, anyway, that was a lot of talk about Southwest Airlines. The other dilemma in my house this morning started with the fight. I was not in a good mood anyway, so I'm surprised more things did not start with the fight in my house this morning. Is that, Mason, school ends for our kids on June the 15th. Our school has uniforms. This is Mason's last year there, and I refuse to buy Mason new uniform anything at this point. He's got one of his uniform shoes, which are like $90 a pair. One of them is starting to blow out on the side, and I'm like, bitch, you're gonna look homeless for a little bit. He needed new shoelaces in. And by the way, these are shoes I just bought. In like February. He's just so hard on these uniform shoes. I think they dragged them in the parking lot and stuff, there and on the field. But so I went and got an old pair of my black tennis shoes that I don't wear anymore, but were still in the closet. I took the shoelaces out of those and replaced the shoe. I put them in his shoes because the shoelaces were so frayed that you couldn't barely tie them. They weren't holding together. If it, heaven forbid, it came out of the eye. He had one that had come out of the eye and didn't tell me. And so he was just trying to tie it. So yeah, and Gorilla Glue. I'm going to use some Gorilla Glue. You're right, Monica. Maybe a patch or something on it. Because one of them is like, I can't even tell. Like, I think you can see his sock through it even. And he wears black socks with them, fortunately. But because they're required to wear black socks with them also. But the like, I'm like, bitch, I am not, you need to take care of your shit for the next month. And so they get out on the 15th. So we're out of school next week, and then they have in 2 weeks. So not the week we get back, but the week after that, they're gone. They're going on a school trip to New Orleans for a week also. So then they don't have to wear uniforms there. They can wear just regular clothes. So legitimately, we have like the week between spring break and that. We have like the week before or after Memorial Day. I don't remember how the schedules fall. I think we have like 3, maybe 4 weeks of needing to wear this uniform thing. And so Aaron, yes, exactly. My son's got a big toe hanging out. That is exactly what it's the sign of the big toe. Sorry, boy. Consider that air conditioning. Only 2 weeks of school left. Yes. And then their feet grow over the summer anyway. So it's like, I'm not paying this much money for you to get new uniform shoes. And then also he has to wear a tie on Wednesday. Wednesdays is like formal uniform day. I don't know how this boy loses his tie because he has it when he goes to school and he has it when he comes home. So somewhere in this house, this tie has been lost. And he already owns 2 of them and can't and is having trouble finding the one this morning. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not buying you another $30 tie either. That's how much they cost. Or I'm gonna find some black market shit at the like maybe $10. Maybe I can. But I'm not spending all this time going to like thrift shops and such looking for Kessler School ties. Anyway, and I am sharing a lot of personal information today, aren't I? Yeah, so I'm like, you need to figure it out. There's some stuff that I can buy him because Claire, there's some uniform pieces that both the boys and the girls wear, specifically the polo shirts. So I wouldn't be opposed to buying one of those because Claire could technically wear it next year. Of course, that is the one thing that we have coming out of our ears. We have so many of those that we don't need them. So anyway, Monica's saying, what does he want to wear next year? Your guess is as good as mine. I already asked him. I'm like, Mason, we need to start. Because here's the thing. The boy has no real clothes because he wears school uniforms Monday through Friday. And he pretty much wears them after school too lazy to change out of them at the end of the school day. And I'm not engaged enough to even care. And on the weekends, he just wears like bathing suit shorts and t-shirts. Like that's literally his uniform. And if anyone has seen my son, knows that that's the case. But I'm like, boy, you got to step it up a notch for school. They can wear shorts and like t-shirts for the school that they're going to go to. They can wear jeans. They can wear tennis shoes. Like it's not dressed up at all. It just has to be like appropriate for whatever like public school would have. It's not a public school, but it's kind of the dress code is for a non-uniform public school. It's kind of along those same lines. But anyway, so I was told, I was like, Mason, we need to start thinking about what you want to wear next year because one, we're in a warm weather state. So that means that now, because we got the spring wear and the summer wear coming up, that's when we really, really need to be thinking about buying the bulk of your clothes for next year. I don't want to buy it all at back to school like a week before. I got to keep in mind, though, that the boy may grow over the summer some, but his summer is only 6 weeks, so it can't be that much. But I'm like, we need to start thinking about, like, what's your style? What do you want to wear? What kind of shoes do you want to wear? Like, you got these choices to make, and I would rather spread it out over a few months. It's also way more fun to buy this stuff over. It's like, well, just buy me a bunch of stuff, and I'll tell you if I like it or not. That's what they want to do because that's my way. That's what I've always done. is I just buy a bunch of shit, show it to them. They say yes, yes, no, no, no. And then I send back all the no's because I'm lazy about shopping for them. I'm like, nope. But now I'm going to have to get their fucking input. Yay. Anyway, they're probably listening at the door right now. Yeah. So that was also my morning this morning. A personal shopper costs a lot. I should be charging them for my personal shopping time. Exactly. I have discovered the magic of Amazon has a program where you can, what's it called? Oh, I forget the name of it. But you can select like 5 items at a time, and it's clothing items, 5 clothing items at a time. They send them to you, and then whatever you want to keep, you just let them know I'm keeping this and I'm sending this back, and then they only charge you for the stuff that you've told them that you're going to keep. And then if they don't get it back within like 30 days, they then charge you for it. But actually, I think it's like 10 days. It's a much faster return requirement than normal Amazon. But try before you buy. Is that what it's called, Monica? Yeah, that's what you're saying. Try before you buy. Anyway, and Monica's saying, I shop mostly online. I will send Sterling a picture, and he gives me a yay or nay. I do that a lot, like with the kids bathing. Oh, shit. I need to check bathing suits before. Okay. Making a note of that. Bathing suits, specifically for the girl. Because I know mine fit, because I've lost 35 pounds. And they were real tight for a while, so I know that that's our scale, and I think I have to get a new scale in our bathroom, and I'm scared to get a new scale. But Todd and I both, I think it was yesterday morning, we were like, is this, because I weigh myself I have a standard thing I do. I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I take my morning pills, I pee in various orders of that. I take off my pajama bottoms, and then I Pooh Bear it onto the scale. So I have nothing in my bladder and nothing stuck to my teeth. Every ounce counts. And I'm not wearing my pajamas pants. And I step on the scale and see how much I weigh. That is like my baseline. And as before, I've had a bunch of water. Probably have a little poop in me still. Way too much information. But between Sunday and Tuesday, Todd and I both gained like 6 pounds, which I think is physically impossible, especially considering we weren't eating like crazy. We weren't drinking like crazy. In fact, on Monday night, I barely drank because Claire has a roller derby practice on Monday nights. That's going to be good for my drinking problem, by the way, or cause a problem for my drinking problem, because she has practice from 6 to 8. And I usually try to stop drinking by 8. But on Monday nights, I made an exception. I had like 1 glass of wine, big ass glass of wine, but still. And anyway, how's roller derby going? Yeah. So she was kind of mad on Monday because Monday was supposed to be the assessments, and her mouth guard was supposed to have arrived from Amazon because she had to get a special one because she has braces. She couldn't just get a regular old one. I went to Academy. I went to all these other places looking for them. And those kind of all had to be fitted by your orthodontist. But Delta Dental makes one that you can order through Amazon. That is, you do it at home. You kind of microwave it. It makes it malleable. You put it in your mouth, and it doesn't stick to the braces. So that was supposed to have arrived before we left for the practice. I got one of those, sorry, it's running late. It'll be here between May the 2nd and the 19th or whatever the stupid date was from Amazon. And so we get there, and she was not allowed to skate on Monday. So we're sitting there watching all these kids do their assessments and all that stuff, which actually I will tell you, silver lining is it was actually better that we were not subject to, because she's not very good at roller skating. At least on Monday, she was not already. She's been practicing, but they do all these tricks. So they had to do a T-stop where they had to skate and then drag a foot to stop. They had to do this kind of like, they call it a pizza stop, where you kind of you do like a round thing, and then you come to a stop. It's sort of like at the end, it's sort of like a snowplow, but you have to get to it with a round kind of circle thing, and you need to be stopped before your skates touch. They did that. They had to skate and put one knee down on the ground and then get back up without using their hands. And then they had to do where they did it with two knees. They had to put one knee down and then the other and then stand up. So like dun dun and then stand up. And then they had to do it go down, put two knees, elbows down on the floor, and then stand up without using your hands. Because the key is you're not supposed to put your hands on the floor to get up, because then the roller derby people can run over your fingers. So you're trying to learn to do that. And then there was a couple of other things. They had to be able to walk in them without rolling. And that's all about knowing your center of balance on stuff. So we're watching all this stuff, and they rate you 0, which means you're a super, super duper beginner, which is 100% what Claire is. A 1, which means that you are like in training. A 2, which is the lowest number you can be before you compete. So we will not be competing in any bouts probably for multiple months. But you know what? Claire's so determined to get this that I bet she does progress pretty quickly. Or 3, I believe, is the highest. And that's like where you're really just like going at it with people. And so the Monday night, she was really pissed. She's mad at me because Amazon didn't deliver in time, and we had ordered it, but it wasn't available for like same day or next morning shipping. So we ordered it like on Thursday, and it's supposed to be here on Monday, and then it didn't, you know that whole thing. But again, I think she then was sort of like, we were sitting there watching, and she's kind of like, oh shit. She's taking notes. Okay, they're going to do we gave each of them names. I don't even know what the names of these routines are. And they're all doing it in front of each other. They're doing like 5 in a row, and then they have to go across the roller skating rink one section at a time, like one. So it's 5 columns and then rows they go across. So people are watching you. So, and I've got mani pause, my weight fluctuations. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to say a new scale. Although I am worried. Well, I'm not worried, because even if the numbers change, the weight change will have been the same. If I started off at 230 and I'm down to 195, I've still lost 35 pounds, right? As long as it's still working. But my worry is that I'm going to get on it. It's like, oh, you're really 205. And I'm going to feel bad about myself, because my goal is to stay under 200. Which when I ooched up to like 199, I was like, ooh, girl, need to lose some before you go to Mexico. Anyway. And then the last thing I had on my card is Dallas. The city of Dallas got hit by a ransomware attack today, and it shut down the 311. It has not affected 911. It shut down the police department website. It shut down the municipal courts. Like, they had to cancel all court things. And they're now scrambling to basically unplug all of the servers that maybe haven't been done yet. But my curiosity is, how much is it going to cost? Because I know that the Dallas County got hit, the appraisal district got hit by ransomware, and they weren't going to pay it. They weren't going to pay it, and they ended up paying it. It was something like, I think I read it was like $700,000. And I'm sure that Dallas is going to get charged more than that. And I had a client who they got hit by one. It shut their phones down. It shut their email down. It shut their website down, all that kind of, a national company and international actually company. And they ended up paying the ransom too. And it was a lot. So it'll be interesting to see. I said, how does this keep happening? Why in this day and age, how are these things not protected? I don't know. Anyway, or maybe it's just, they're smarter than us, and AI now is able to do it for people. I don't know. Anyway. Well, that's all I have got on my card today. Let me look, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I caught all the comments. Alrighty. Well, with that, I'm going to say bye. I love you. It's important to know you are loved. I love that you watch this. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Don't shoot yourself to death. By the way, Eric, right now, he has the visitation for his father. It's this evening. It's going on at this moment in Iowa. And then the funeral is tomorrow morning in Iowa. And then the burial is also obviously in Iowa too. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And take care of yourself. Don't should yourself to death. No good comes from should. And I should, and maybe that good comes from it. I should be here tomorrow at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live, should I say. Bye. Bye, Sandy. Bye, Mom. Bye, everybody. Bye.